Whilst we're going through a bit of a relegation battle in the Premier League, it's easy to forget that we're still in Europe, and European football has started in earnest again this week, where Champions League is back, Europa League is back, and of course the Europa Conference League is back as well. The Europa Conference League is in the knockout stages. Teams have been playing in the knockout stages in order to qualify for the last 16 of the tournament. And it could become a welcome distraction so long as it doesn't take over what we have to do in the Premier League. The first games were played in the knockout stage. And of course, the big result of that particular round was Fiorentina's 4-0 win over Braga in the tournament. I think we can safely say that a 4-0 win away from home means that Fiorentina are quite likely to be through to the last 16. Of the other 7 games that were played, only 6 goals were scored, 6 1-0 wins and 1 0-0 draw. So of the teams that have played, who has the potential to take advantage of making it into the last 16 of the Europa Conference? Well, let's start with Fiorentina, shall we? They went into the tie having not won a game in Serie A since the beginning of January, when they last beat Sassuolo 2-1. The 4-0 win over Braga will certainly give them a nice little boost, and it's unlikely that Braga are going to overcome that deficit. 2 goals each for potentially their 2 best players, Luka Jovic and Arthur Cabral, did the business for them. And they're going to be a dangerous strike partnership against any opposition that they face. Jovic is Fiorentina's top goal scorer this season with 10 goals, and Cabral comes a close second with 7 goals. Fiorentina had 60% possession in the game, 7 shots on target to Braga's 1 shot. I think you can see that Fiorentina are virtually through to the last 16. Next up is Qarabag at the top of the Azerbaijani league. They hosted Belgian club Ghent. Leandro Andrade put Qarabag ahead by scoring in the 72nd minute. That was the attacking midfielder's 3rd goal of the season. Unsurprisingly, Qarabag are top of their league and in the Azerbaijani Premier League. And strikers Musa Kobani and Ramil Sheydayev are the club's top goal scorers with 18 and 16 goals, respectively. Possession was fairly equal with the home side, having had 49%, but their use of possession was far superior to Ghent's. Qarabag had 14 shots, of which 4 were on target, to the 7 shots with none on target for Ghent. Can they get back in it, Ghent? Well, possibly. On home turf, I guess they'll fancy their chances against Qarabag. Next up, and also they're 5th in the Belgium league, Qarabag, and they've got Hugo Kuipers, who is their top goal scorer on 18 goals as well. And they really rely heavily on him for goals, with their next top goal scorer is Hyun Seok Hong, only on 8 goals. Next up is Turkish club Trabzonspor. Now, they hosted Swiss club Basel in what maybe could be considered a bit of a shock. Basel are considered to be a decent team in Europe. Trabzonspor went to win that game 1-0 in the 65th minute with a goal by right back and who came on as a sub, Jens Striger Larsen. The Turkish club are currently 6th in their league, in the Turkish Super League, with their top goal scorer being attacking midfielder Anastasios Bakasetas on 11 goals this season, and left winger Mahmoud Trezeguet on 9. Now, whilst Basel can't be ruled out of this tie, Trabzonspor have something to defend when they go into the second leg next Thursday. Plus, to be honest with you, Trabzonspor were all over Basel in the first leg. 69% possession, 20 shots, of which 10 were on target, against 8 shots, of which 2 were on target for Basel. Now, Basel are 6th in their league, and this season, with striker Andy Zakiri being their top goal scorer, He's only got 9 goals in the league. And then attacking midfielder Darian Males is on 8. Can they get back into this tie? I think I favour Trabzonspor to get through. Next up is Cypriot team AEK Larnaca. Now, they made hard work of their first leg tie against Ukrainian team Dnipro 1. Left back Angel Kabazali got the only goal in the 84th minute. Larnaca are currently top of the Cypriot League with their top goal scorer, Omri Altman, being on 11 goals and striker Rafa Lopez on 8. Dnipro are not out of this tie. The game was fairly even, with the home team having had 42% possession with 13 shots on target, 13 shots of which 5 were on target, against 6 shots with 4 on target. Dnipro are top of the Ukrainian league at the moment, with their top goal scorer being striker Artem Dovbyk on 16 goals. But in fairness, without him scoring, they don't have much of a goal threat otherwise. Difficult to say who might make it through, but it's possible on home soil, Dnipro might just do it. Now, despite Lazio going down to 10 men early in the game against... jumped a few. Despite Lazio going down to 10 men early in the game against Romanian club Cluj, they won the tie 1-0. They lost a man on 15 minutes in the game for a straight red card. They had 60% possession with 13 shots, of which 6 were on target. They got their breakthrough deep into the first added time in the first half, where striker Ciro Immobile scored their only goal. He's their top goal scorer at the moment, well, alongside 2 other players in the club. And that is Mattia Zaccagni and, you've guessed it, Felipe Anderson, formerly of West Ham, all joint top goal scorers. Now, I think they're clearly ahead of Cluj. I can't see Cluj getting back into this game, to be quite honest with you. I think even with 10 men, Lazio held out pretty well against the Romanian club. Next up is Ludogorets, who hosted Anderlecht. Now, we've played Anderlecht. We know what Anderlecht are like. We know they're not really a team that's going to have much trouble to go past in this competition. And Ludogorets only beat them by 1 goal. The home team scored in their first 9 minutes of the game with a goal by Thiago. But the game was dominated by Anderlecht with 70% possession, 16 shots of which 3 were on target, to Ludogorets' 6 shots with 3 on target. Now, interestingly, even though Anderlecht were way ahead in the stats in this game, to not get past this team was quite a surprise. The Bulgarians sit second in the league with a point off just first place CSKA Sofia, with their top goal scorer being Matthias Teixeira on 13 goals, followed up by Kirill Despodov on 11 goals. I have a feeling that Anderlecht aren't going to win the second leg. They're not doing that well. On 11 goals, who ironically has now moved on loan to PSV Eindhoven for the second half of the season. That leaves their top goal scorer to be Leo Rafaelov, with only 6 goals this season. Next up is Sheriff Tiraspol of Moldova. They hosted Partizan Belgrade of Serbia. Partizan took the lead on the stroke of half-time with a goal from striker Ricardo Gomez, who's the club's top goal scorer this season on 20 goals. Despite having a player sent off just 5 minutes into the second half, Partizan held on for a win. They are second in their league, but way behind Red Star. However, despite not scoring, Tiraspol dominated the game with 72% possession, 16 shots, of which 6 were on target, to Partizan's 3 shots with 2 on target. Sheriff are comfortably top of the Moldovan league, but goal scoring has not been one of their top assets this season, with top goal scorer being winger Rashid Akambi on 10 goals. Their next highest goal scorer is midfielder Steve Ambry on 5 goals. Despite playing away in the second leg, even though their goal scoring is not great, I think they might, with their experience, they might just get past into the next leg. Next up, and finally, is the goalless draw of the round between Norwegian club Bodo Glimt against Polish club Lech Poznan. Bodo Glimt had the best of the game with 63% possession, 15 shots, which 3 were on target, to Lech's 2 shots, of which none were on target. If they managed to have as much of the game in the second leg, creating so many chances, I would say that Bodo Glimt should be favourites to go through to the last 16. Having said that, their top goal scorers have 5 goals each this season, who are Victor Bonifaci and winger Amal Pellegrino. As for Lech Poznan, they are third in their league, with top goal scorer being Mikhail Ishak on 17 goals, followed up by winger Mikhail Skoraz on 10. So they do have a better strike force, the Polish team, and I would probably favour them to beat the Norwegian club on home soil. So my predictions for who is likely to go through into the final 16 from the knockout stages are as follows. Fiorentina from Italy, Ghent from Belgium, Trabzonspor from Turkey, Dnipro 1 from Ukraine, Lazio from Italy, Ludogorets from Bulgaria, Sheriff Tiraspol of Moldova, and Lech Poznan of Poland. They, of course, will face the group winners of the group stages earlier in the season. AS Alkmaar of the Netherlands, Djurgårdens of Sweden, Istanbul Başakşehir of Turkey, Nice of France, Sivasspor of Turkey, Slovan Bratislava of Slovakia, Villarreal of Spain, and of course, West Ham United. Now, when in the clubs in the next round, when they're drawn, cannot be drawn against teams in their same league. So, for example, Trabzonspor from the Turkish league cannot get either Istanbul Başakşehir or Sivasspor. So that gives all the other teams a 1 in 6 chance of drawing them. Who do we want to avoid? Well, I think it's fairly evident who I think we need to avoid are the 2 decent teams in this competition from the knockout stages. And that, of course, is Lazio and Fiorentina. Now, when it comes to stadiums and the clubs that are still in this competition, there's some interesting teams and capacities here. Of course, if we get Fiorentina with a 43,000 capacity, we're likely to get a few tickets, West Ham United, and that'll be a fair turnout. For example, if we go to Ghent with a 20,000 capacity, there's not a lot of chance to get an awful lot of tickets for that particular game. If we fancy a trip to Trabzonspor, to Turkey, their capacity is just under 41,000 as well, which is a fair number. Now, when it comes to Dnipro and Ukraine, I don't know where these games are being played. I tried to do a bit of research earlier, and apparently games are still being played in the Ukraine. So I'm guessing that with a capacity of 31,000, there'd be a few fans that might get to the Ukraine. I don't know how that will work out with the current war that's going on there. Of course, if we get Lazio with a 70,000 capacity, we're all going there. And that is a fantastic capacity at that ground. Look at that running track. I wish we had a running track around our stadium. If we get Ludogorets, then the capacity is only 10,400, which is not an awful lot. Not many fans will be going to that particular game. Same for Sheriff Tiraspol in Moldova, with a capacity of 12,700 there. However, if we get Lech Poznan of Poland, their capacity is over 43,000. So if we avoid Lazio and Fiorentina, then to get as many fans as possible out to the last 16 games away, clearly Trabzonspor and Lech Poznan are clearly favoured. Now, should any of the other clubs that I predicted won't go through get through, what about their capacities? Partizan Their capacity is 29, just under 30,000. You get a few, but not that many. Qarabag is an interesting one because their home stadium only has a capacity of 5,800. But when they played in the Champions League, they used the national stadium, which holds 68,000. Now, this would all depend on what happens. I mean, let's say for argument's sake, we get Qarabag. Would they want to play their game in the Baku Olympic Stadium? Would they want a bigger capacity for it? Be interesting to find out. And then if we get Basel, their capacity, excuse me. If we get Basel, not Basel, so I'm going to have to go to Bodo Glimt. If we get Bodo Glimt, their capacity is only 8,300, just under 8,300. They've had a maximum capacity of just over 12,000, but it's still not an awful lot. Then on to Basel, decent capacity of 38,000. Who look like they're going to get through their round, have a wonderful looking stadium overlooking mountainside. Their capacity is only 30,000. If we get my homeland, Larnaca, their capacity is pretty poor with 8,000, just under 9,000. Cluj in Romania, 22,000. Again, not a lot of capacity there. And finally, we've all been to Anderlecht, or some of us have, and we already know that their capacity is 22,500. Now, who are the favourites in this tournament? What teams in this tournament are left that are favourites? It's got to be one of these five, really. Nice from France, Villarreal from Spain, Fiorentina and Lazio from Italy, and of course West Ham United. Keep these teams apart, and one has to say that the cup winners it's got to be one of these five, really. Can we beat any of these teams? I say yeah. Villarreal is probably the biggest threat, and they're currently sitting 8th in La Liga, with top goal scoring threat being their winger Alex Baena on 10 goals this season, followed up by strikers Gerard Moreno and Jose Luis Morales, both on 9 goals. Nice, as we know, have strengthened their attack in the January transfer window with a target that we were looking for, Terem Moffi. But they have a number of players familiar to us here in England. Kasper Schmeichel in goal, Ross Barkley, Aaron Ramsey, quite a few players that are familiar to us. They currently sit 7th in the French league. And their top goal scorer is Nicolas Pepe on loan from Arsenal on 8 goals at the moment. And also another striker that was recently linked to us in previous transfer windows, Gaetan Laborde. Is there anything that might hinder our progress in this competition? Well, to be quite honest with you, ironically, we are the lowest team in in any of the leagues who are left in this competition. We're currently lying 16th in the Premier League. We're the only team who has not been scoring goals an awful lot, and our 2 top goal scorers are Gianluca Scamacca and Jared Bowen, with 15 goals between them. Bowen on 8, Scamacca on 7. If it's of any consolation, 3 of Bowen's goals and 4 of Scamacca's goals have both been in the European Conference League competition. Still, despite that, I think we've got a great chance to win this tournament. Even if we do get drawn against Lazio or Fiorentina, we should be good enough to be able to get a result from them. So what games are actually left to play? We've had the first round of the knockout stages. The second round of the knockout stages is next Thursday, the 23rd of February. And then the round of 16, where West Ham come back into the competition, starts on the 9th of March and the 16th of March. And our first leg is away from home because we won our group stage. Our first leg is away from home, and our second leg will be at home on the 16th of March, which we've heard is now going to be affected by another rail strike. Quarterfinals will be on the 13th and the 20th of April. Semi-finals on the 11th and on my birthday, the 18th of May. And the final that's going to be played in Prague is on the 7th of June. When is the draw going to take place? Well, straight after the games on the 23rd of February, the draw will take place for the last 16 on the 24th of February at midday. It's going to be held at the House of European Football in Nyon, Switzerland. I'm thinking about doing a live show on that day, so do join me for that, and I'll bring in some guests as well. So, with the Premier League trying to sort itself out, well, we're trying to sort it out. Is it going to become a welcome distraction to be back into Europe, or is it going to be a big distraction which could have an impact on us in the league? For me, I think getting more players playing on a regular basis can't be a bad thing. We've got a big enough squad. We've got players that haven't been playing regularly for quite some time. Flynn Downs, Pablo Fornals, Manuel Lanzini, Alphonse Areola. All these players are likely to be needed at any point should we get further injuries in the first team. So giving them game time on a Thursday can only be a good thing. I think we do stand a good chance in this competition. I'm kind of looking forward to who we're going to draw in the last 16 and going on from there. Thank you all for watching. Please leave your comments. Do subscribe to the channel if you're new. Do hit the like button if you're new or an existing subscriber. And I'll see you all very soon.